Deadpool is unlike any other superhero. No other Avenger, vigilante, or whatever you want to call them is as brazen, violent, or downright outrageous. But his journey to the big screen was anything but easy. In fact, this might be one of the most challenging movies we've covered. It was a real headache, and let's just say it took a toll. But it also teaches us an important lesson. Never to give up. The story of Deadpool on the big screen is really the story of Ryan Reynolds, the actor who brought him to life. Ryan Reynolds had a tough upbringing in Canada. His father, a strict Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, expected him to follow in the family's footsteps. With 3 older brothers on the same path, Ryan felt pressure to conform, but he found an escape in humor. His natural ability to make people laugh became his saving grace and eventually led him to pursue acting. After gaining experience on a Canadian teen show, Ryan took a chance and moved to Hollywood. His charismatic personality made him a perfect fit for comedies, and he quickly transitioned from TV to movies. He even tried his hand at stand-up comedy, and some critics compared him to the popular comedian Jim Carrey. But in 2003, Reynolds got a chance to play a different kind of character. A superhero. He landed the role of Hannibal King, an ex-vampire in Blade Trinity. The role showcased not only his dramatic abilities but also his physical strength. During filming, a producer complimented Reynolds' performance, saying his mix of toughness and wit reminded him of another character named Wade Wilson. Unsure who the producer was talking about, Reynolds asked for clarification. The producer explained that Wade Wilson was Deadpool, a popular comic book character. Reynolds listened as the producer made a prediction. If they ever make a Deadpool movie, you're the perfect person to play him. The identity of the producer who introduced Ryan Reynolds to Deadpool remains a mystery. While not a typical superhero fan, Reynolds opened a comic book he'd been given. The first panel shocked him. The character said, "I look like a cross between Ryan Reynolds and a Shar-Pei." Intrigued, Reynolds devoured the comics. He learned Deadpool was the creation of Argentine writer Fabian Nicieza and artist Rob Liefeld, and that he was more anti-hero than superhero. The character Wade Wilson was a soldier turned mercenary after a horrific experiment left him with healing powers and a disfigured face. Deadpool's defining trait was his constant, often inappropriate chatter. He interacted with everyone, even the comic book's creators and readers. His humor was a coping mechanism, especially in tough times. Reynolds saw a striking parallel between himself and Deadpool. Their shared experiences and similar senses of humor created a perfect match. David S. Goyer, director of Blade Trinity, also wanted to bring Deadpool to the big screen. This wasn't out of the question. The film rights to Deadpool were purchased by the independent company Artisan in 2000, before being acquired by New Line Cinema, the studio behind the Blade franchise. The growing popularity of Marvel adaptations, like the X-Men series and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, also created a favorable climate for the project. Reynolds' hopes for playing Deadpool were dashed when Blade Trinity underperformed. Unfortunately, this would be the first of several setbacks for the actor. To make matters worse, the rights to Deadpool were transferred to 20th Century Fox, the studio behind the X-Men films. A glimmer of hope appeared when new studio executives expressed interest in developing a Deadpool movie. Though Goyer was no longer involved, Reynolds remained determined to bring his vision to the screen. Deadpool was introduced in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, the first spin-off of the mutant portrayed by Hugh Jackman. Reynolds liked the idea, but the character was not portrayed as he had envisioned. The script showed him with a clean face, no winks to the audience, and his mouth was sewn shut in the third act. The actor was disappointed. According to fans, it was anything but Deadpool. However, the film was a success, and Fox greenlit the development of a solo adventure for the controversial anti-hero. Reynolds wasn't satisfied with simply wearing the red suit this time. He sought greater control to recreate the Deadpool from the comic books. This wouldn't be easy. The character was violent and full of profanity. In contrast, superhero films typically targeted a younger demographic. Additionally, Reynolds faced personal challenges. While well-known, he wasn't an A-list celebrity. He needed a major hit to solidify his leading man status. Undeterred, he became a producer on the developing Deadpool movie. Reynolds personally selected screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick for their understanding of Deadpool's character. The director's job was offered to Robert Rodriguez, known for combining action, comedy, and high energy. He showed interest, but eventually passed. Then Tim Miller emerged as a potential director. Despite having only directed animated shorts, he had a strong background in visual effects. Reynolds connected with Miller, and they shared a vision for a fun, irreverent film that captured Deadpool's essence. The project gained momentum when Reynolds landed the lead role in Green Lantern. It was a more conventional superhero movie from DC Comics, but Reynolds saw it as a chance to become a major Hollywood star. He believed it would give him the influence to produce Deadpool and exercise greater creative freedom. freedom. Yet again, things didn't go according to plan. As I warned you, this story is filled with setbacks. Green Lantern was lambasted by critics and tanked at the box office. As the film's star, Reynolds bore the brunt of the backlash. No other blockbuster studio wanted to touch him, and Fox was having serious doubts about Deadpool. The project wasn't axed altogether, but its development was put on indefinite hold. In the following years, Reynolds continued to star in comedies while also exploring roles in thrillers and dramas. However, the press frequently portrayed him as a rising star who hadn't quite reached his full potential. Reynolds could have easily given up under the pressure, but he drew on a coping mechanism from his childhood. He accepted the criticism and became even more determined to make Deadpool happen. He maintained a close relationship with the screenwriters, Ann Miller, who had independently sent 20 letters to Fox pleading for the project's revival. Reynolds' relentless persistence finally paid off in 2012 when the studio granted him less than $1 million to create a proof of concept. This would be his opportunity to show off his exact vision for the character. Reynolds poured his heart and soul into the footage. He provided his voice and went the extra mile, while the director leveraged the resources of Blur Studio, his animation company. They swiftly completed the footage and submitted it to Fox. The actor and his team were optimistic about this opportunity. However, once again, after 4 consecutive setbacks, Reynolds, the screenwriters, and the director's hopes were crushed by the studio's rejection. The actor was particularly heartbroken. It felt like he would never experience success. His usual sense of humor had vanished. Yet, one possibility remained. It required risking everything, including potential lawsuits worth millions. But when one is truly passionate about something, nothing else seems to matter. On Monday, July 28, 2014, the dust had just settled from the previous day's San Diego Comic-Con. Fans were engrossed in discussing the latest movie and TV show announcements. With no apparent room for further surprises, they turned to online forums and social media to share their thoughts. Then, a mysterious video surfaced, leaving everyone stunned. The short film starts with Deadpool sitting on a bridge, listening to music and drawing, before leaping onto a car full of armed criminals. The ensuing sequence is a chaotic blend of action, gunfire, crashes, fourth wall breaks, and crude humor. At that moment, fans realized they were witnessing what had previously been rumored: the Miller-directed test footage for Fox. The source of the leaked footage remains unknown, but the mini-teaser became an instant sensation. For the first time, fans saw the brash, violent anti-hero from the comics brought to life. Those unfamiliar with the character found him refreshing, bold, and unexpectedly humorous. Even Liefeld was impressed, proclaiming, "Ryan is Deadpool." There was universal agreement. A feature-length film based on this material was essential. After numerous setbacks, Reynolds and his team finally achieved the seemingly impossible. Fox approved a standalone Deadpool movie. Because of the numerous development challenges, the team remained doubtful about their ability to create the desired film. The script initially required the inclusion of certain X-Men characters, leading them to believe story adjustments would be necessary to maintain franchise continuity. However, Fox executives assured them complete creative freedom. Skeptical, Reynolds asked if they could incorporate Deadpool's signature profanity, to which the executives surprisingly agreed. This would be the first R-rated superhero film. With the technical and creative team assembled, principal photography for Deadpool began in March 2015 and concluded in May. The budget was a modest $58 million, a stark contrast to the budgets of other contemporary superhero films. For comparison, blockbusters like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Doctor Strange, and Suicide Squad, all filmed that same year, boasted budgets exceeding $150 million. To accommodate the limited budget, Reese and Wernick made script revisions, ultimately cutting on some pages to make the story more dynamic. Miller was also able to deliver impressive and violent sequences even within the financial constraints. Every day, Reynolds was utterly committed to Deadpool. He knew instinctively when to deviate from the script and improvise. Despite his ad-lib skills, he valued the work of Reese and Wernick, who continued to contribute throughout filming. When Fox cut off funding for their script revisions, Reynolds personally stepped up to cover the costs. Deadpool was set to hit theaters on February 12, 2016. The filmmakers were both excited and apprehensive. The R rating would limit their potential audience. Unlike established franchises like Spider-Man or Batman, Deadpool was a gamble. Even Reynolds had reservations about the film's prospects, as it could make or break his career. Nevertheless, he aggressively promoted the movie, appearing in commercials as the iconic character. Fox's doubts vanished when Deadpool became a global sensation. The film exceeded expectations, delivering a level of violence and comedy even more outrageous than what the leaked footage promised. With a worldwide gross of $783 million, Deadpool shattered box office records for an R-rated movie. Most notably, it propelled Reynolds to superstardom on his own terms. Given the overwhelming success of the first film, a sequel was guaranteed. Deadpool himself foreshadowed this in the post-credits scene, teasing the introduction of a pivotal character from his world, Cable, a lethal soldier from the future. With Fox's green light, Reynolds joined forces again with Reese, Wernick, and Miller. The director wanted Kyle Chandler, a veteran character actor, for the role of Cable, but Reynolds opted for Josh Brolin, who was already portraying Thanos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Miller disagreed with the casting, but recognized his limited influence. As the studio had granted Reynolds total creative authority, tensions escalated when the director suggested including the Fantastic Four, a move Reynolds also opposed. Amidst the growing discord, Miller decided to step down. Reynolds was disappointed by the project's upheaval, as the original team was falling apart. However, he discovered a perfect fit in David Leitch. A seasoned stuntman, Leitch had co-directed the blockbuster John Wick with Chad Stahelski, and later helmed the stylish action film Atomic Blonde on his own. Reynolds admired Leitch's talent for high-octane action and irreverent humor, as well as his ability to deliver impressive results with limited resources. In fact, Deadpool 2 was produced on a relatively modest budget of $110 million. Reynolds increased his improvisation style during filming and developed a strong chemistry with Brolin. Their characters were designed to have a mismatched dynamic, similar to classic buddy movies of the 1980s. Reynolds also managed to secure humorous cameos from A-list stars like Brad Pitt and Matt Damon. Reynolds was deeply involved in every stage of production, but a tragic accident happened unexpectedly. Among the stunt performers was Joy Harris, a groundbreaking motorcycle racer who was the first African-American woman to compete professionally. She was hired as a stunt woman for actress Zazie Beetz, who portrayed Domino. On August 14th, Harris was scheduled to perform a risky motorcycle stunt on a Ducati Hypermotard. The initial attempt was successful, but 3 additional takes were required. During the 5th attempt, she lost control of the bike and collided with Vancouver's Shaw Tower. Tragically, she was not wearing a helmet, as the character she was playing did not wear one. Harris passed away at the age of 40. Reynolds used social media to announce the news and share his sorrow. The film will be dedicated to Harris's memory. Unfortunately, this didn't stop filming from being halted for several days, and the studio was fined $300,000. Additionally, an investigation found that the technical crew had been working overtime, exceeding the standard 12 to 13-hour workday. Harris's death and the resulting controversy impacted Reynolds, but he didn't let it overshadow the project. He continued to promote the film by creating more parodies and skits with celebrities like former soccer star David Beckham. The film was a huge success, grossing $785 million worldwide and proving Deadpool's immense popularity. The success even led to the release of a PG-13 version, Once Upon a Deadpool, later that year. Following the success of the second film, a third Deadpool movie seemed like a sure thing, but new challenges emerged. In March 2019, the Walt Disney Company acquired Fox, bringing Deadpool under the Marvel Studios umbrella. Reynolds knew Marvel was known for politically correct, family-friendly movies. Even Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige was uncertain how the edgy anti-hero would fit into the existing Marvel universe. Reynolds faced uncertainty. He sensed a new adversity and felt Deadpool would need a fresh new start. Despite this, he met with Feige, and both started negotiations. Reynolds pitched numerous ideas, most notably involving Wolverine. He'd already hinted at this in Deadpool 2's post-credits scene. The anti-hero time travels to a pivotal moment. As he shoots his despised former self, he tells the clawed mutant he'll retire one day, but should be ready for a future callback. Reynolds' goal seemed impossible. Jackman had truly retired from playing Wolverine after Logan in 2017. He was exhausted from the strict diets, intense training, and constant travel. But Reynolds had advantages. They were close friends, and the new director, Sean Levy, had worked with both of them and was also a friend. Jackman had always enjoyed the Wolverine references in the first 2 Deadpool films. Despite this, Reynolds faced constant rejection. He called Jackman daily, only to be met with a negative response. He was on the verge of giving up when Jackman called him back. After a vacation, Jackman agreed, but with only one condition. They couldn't change Logan's story. Feige didn't want to bring back Wolverine because he thought the character's ending was perfect, so they decided to use a different timeline. As a result, Deadpool 3 was retitled Deadpool and Wolverine, and after further negotiations, Reynolds secured an R rating for the film, making it the first adult-oriented movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadpool is an epic story of anti-heroism both on and off screen. It chronicles an actor's journey to bring a career-defining character to life. Both the actor and the character achieve success without compromising their authenticity. They proved to Hollywood that a blend of superhero action and irreverence could be a box office hit, teaching us never to abandon our passions, even for a character as unconventional as Deadpool.
Making a movie can be a grueling, nightmare-inducing ordeal. However, few behind-the-scenes stories are as complex and chaotic as the one surrounding Twister.